She assumed I'd break down, beg for forgiveness, and cling to her as if she were the only anchor I had left. That was her fatal miscalculation. When she sneered, "Fine, walk away then," her expression carried the smugness of someone convinced they'd already won. She expected me to crawl back, desperate and shattered without her. But I didn't plead. I didn't shout. I simply gathered my belongings with a calm precision, shirts folded neatly, shoes aligned, no theatrics. Then came the soft click of the door closing behind me. That sound was my final word. My silence shook her more than any outburst ever could. I saw it, the flicker of doubt in her eyes as I passed. She never understood that my quiet resolve was my sharpest weapon. For 7 years, we shared marriage. 7 years of muted dinners, whispered promises, and nights where I thought we were shaping a future together. I worked long hours, exhausting myself so she could have stability. She complained I always seemed tired, yet I believed my effort was building us something lasting. Meanwhile, she was busy letting another man into our bed. The signs were there, the secret of late-night texts she flipped her phone to hide, the unfamiliar scent of cologne clinging to her after errands, the cooling touch in her kisses. I convinced myself it was stress, that she'd come back to me, that love would mend the cracks. But love can't survive in shadows. Love doesn't whisper into a phone the second the shower starts running. Deep down, I knew the truth long before I had proof. The revelation came on an ordinary Tuesday. She stood humming in the kitchen, stirring a pot, when her phone lit up. A message from an unsaved number. His words were bold, possessive, the kind of words a man uses when he believes a woman belongs to him. A bitter taste filled my throat, but I kept my composure. She smiled at me like nothing was wrong, but the person in front of me was no longer my wife. She was a stranger wearing her skin. I didn't confront her then. Impulsiveness is for the reckless. Retaliation belongs to the patient. Quietly, I started collecting evidence, bank records, call logs, GPS routes from her car. Her wellness retreats were hotels. Her shopping trips were trysts. I hired a private investigator, and soon I held photographs. Her hand in his, their lips meeting in bars, parking lots, even outside the home I paid for. Every lie she spun became a dated entry in a file thick enough to crush her excuses. Then I moved my pieces. I funneled my income into a separate account, cancelled the joint credit card she bled dry, and sought legal counsel from the very attorney her father once recommended with a warning: if she ever betrays you, don't hesitate. The irony wasn't lost on me. While she giggled with her lover, I was sharpening a blade made of paperwork, signatures, and resolve. The night she tried to break me finally came. She mocked, I stayed composed. She called me distant, claimed I wasn't enough to satisfy her anymore. Then, with venom in her voice, she snapped, "If you're so unhappy, then leave." She thought I'd explode or collapse. Instead, I locked eyes with her, calm and steady, and began packing. Her bravado faltered. "You're really doing this?" she asked, uncertainty creeping into her voice. "Yes," I replied. Nothing more. That night, I walked out. To her, it looked like victory. To me, it was the beginning of hers unraveling. The storm followed quickly. Her father called, his voice sharp with fury. "What's going on? Why did you leave her?" I invited him over and placed the dossier in his hands. Photos, receipts, text messages. His jaw hardened as he turned each page. A man who valued loyalty above all. He had always seen his daughter as his pride. Now she was his disgrace. When he finished, his hands shook. He looked me in the eyes and said, "I'll handle this." I didn't ask how. I didn't need to. 2 nights later, she called me, panic dripping from her voice. "What have you done?" she demanded. "What do you mean?" I asked evenly. "My father," she stammered. "He came storming in, screaming, waving photos. He knows everything. He said I humiliated him. He's cut me off. He disowned me." Her sobs spilled through the line. The arrogance was gone. The woman who dared me to leave now sounded like a child realizing she'd set fire to her own life. I answered with silence. That silence cut deeper than words. Her downfall accelerated. Her father cut her off financially. Friends she once bragged to now whispered behind her back. And her lover. He vanished as soon as her money dried up. I heard from others she begged him to stay, but men like him don't love, they feed. Once the feast ended, he moved on to fresh prey. She reached out again, this time with tearful apologies and promises to change. But she was already a ghost to me. My lawyer filed the divorce papers, armed with irrefutable proof of her infidelity. I kept the house, the savings, and, ironically, earned her father's quiet respect. I still remember her face the night her father slammed the file onto her table, shouting, "Do you realize what he's done?" It wasn't anger or fear I saw on her. It was recognition. She finally understood I wasn't the weak man she imagined. While she played games, I built a noose in plain sight. She thought I'd beg. Instead, I let her destroy herself. Now I sit in my home, at peace, rebuilt from the wreckage she thought she left me in. Do I miss her? No. You can't miss a ghost. Do I regret it? Not for a second. She told me to go, so I did. And in leaving, I lit her world on fire. Betrayal taught me this. Silence wounds deeper than shouting. Patience slices sharper than rage. And when revenge arrives, it doesn't roar. It whispers.